Well, congratulations on 4 top 5 finishes.
Thank you. Thank you. Pretty
There's a
good.
positive light right there.
That's
True.
right.
That's right. I think we got every single place except
Eighth.
eighth
We got
and
second,
first.
fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and ninth.
Yep.
When you first started, that very first continue racing leg seemed a bit brutal. Like that was a hard way to like start the whole race. Did you have any moments of, oh my goodness, what did we get ourselves into?
No, none at all. Yes. I was absolutely like, why are we walking these horses all around in 90% humidity? Why could we not have walked over there and done the memory challenge? So
That's
from
my fault. I fully take my one regret of the Amazing Race, and I talk about this with friends, is the
yeah.
fact that I was like, we're gonna do the physical thing because that's super straightforward. Look at the two of us. Over here, we could have done a memory task, not been exhausted, been able to just like hang out, enjoy some fun face painting, maybe pass some teams. But I think the fact is, it's like, despite it still being hard, we got sixth and seventh. Like we were in the middle of the pack after mom is laying on the ground, just taking a nice nap. She's just resting a little bit. But I think for me, going at the end of the day, I was like, I learned so much. And the fact that we still did as well as I think we did, I was like, we can be contenders in this race.
I I think that it took me a few races to bounce back from that because I'm
Mm.
not an anxious person and I wasn't quite sure what I was getting into. So then I'm like, wait a minute, this is going to be a lot harder than I thought. So it took me, and you'll see a confidence change, in the middle of the series. But yeah, that one took me a little bit to bounce back from. So
Well, episode 4 helped, I think, with your confidence. You guys bumped up to 3rd place. It seemed like your leg. How were you feeling after that?
So it's fun.
episode 4
That's the puzzle
was,
episode. So in the
oh
two
yes.
rounds that we get our best placement, we start in the last group 30 minutes behind. And then both legs,
Mhm.
we run the fastest leg of the day. Like
Mhm.
we would have if we started all equal together, like gotten first, those two legs. And so I don't know, just that leg, I was like, we got puzzles. I got to do puzzles. It was a blast. We had an awesome taxi driver, and it just was so much fun with mom. And we just were smiling the whole time. And I went, sweet. If this is what's going to be the rest of the Amazing Race,
Yeah.
we can win the Amazing Race.
I can do puzzles, I can memorize, we can do this. So we could break those roadblocks up easy, right? I could easily do that. So but yeah, it was definitely a game changer that day. And anytime we could interact with the locals, I'm all about relationships and people and just love doing that kind of thing. So as soon as we get to be in that culture, that was so much fun. So where I could actually stand upright to enjoy it, it was really beautiful.
I was terrified during this mega leg. You guys are like, hey, we're just to survive, we'll give all of this to Angie. And then they turned out to be hot and exhausting. How did you get through that, Angie?
Oh, here's the deal. The hot wasn't the problem. It was the humidity. And that's what you don't, of course, see. They talk about the temperatures, but I grew up in Phoenix. I love heat, but I had not done the humidity thing. And I think that mental frame kind of came from the beginning, was like, oh no, here's another day. Because every day the cameraman was like, well, how's the weather today for you? I'm like, stop talking about the weather. So getting through that was definitely humbling. That was God just literally handing me a gift that day, so long as I didn't give up. I knew I couldn't give up. And yes, you see where I have that moment of, hey, just take the penalty. But it was like, Danny's like, as you saw, he looks at me, and I went, back. And then I went, yes, I know, I have to get in the car again. And you just do it, right? You just toughen up. And I thought, okay, if I can get through this, I can do the rest of anything. So it was good. And what they don't show, I have to say, I'm the one that knew where the puzzle started. Those two girls didn't know any of that. And I had one little beautiful moment there that wasn't shown. So it was just like, could I get up off the ground? No, but I knew where the puzzle started. So,
Well, let's
anyways,
talk
but it was
about the
fun.
strategy here, Danny. I mean, we're working with other teams.
Ah,
Became a bit controversial, but I was wondering specifically, Did you want to work with both of those teams, or was it just that you were paired up with them?
I wanted to work with Amber and Vinny. Like we had been a really close relationship, built this really close bond where I was like, we are going to help each other. Because of the format of the race, you kind of get stuck with these people that are like, oh, if you're working together, oh, we're just going to tag along too. So did we want to work with Rod and Leticia that day? No, we didn't. As you see, there's a couple of times I try to lose them and mom is like, we're not losing them. But I do know alliances are controversial, but being a super fan of Survivor, Traders, The Mole, like all these shows growing up on them, I was like, I have to have my alliance on a CBS reality show. Like, and so super fun and was pretty strategic about it. And I know because I was a fan who was like, alliances are the worst. Like, you can't help people. Like, how, like, you can't do that. I remember going back to the hotel that night with mom and being like, the fans are going to
We're
hate.
toast. He
Because
totally said that. He said, this is not going to go well. And I'm like, oh, well, consequences to all our actions.
Yep, when you are racing
And I'm
for
still here.
Yep, when you are racing for $1 million, your mindset changes. You do what you need to do to survive.
Yep.
And like
And to bring your partner through.
yeah. So all the amazing race trolls out there, nah, second you get on it, make alliance
Yeah.
and see how it goes for you.
Well, I mean, obviously you have to race for yourself, not the viewers.
Exactly.
So this episode, okay, more controversy. Clearly there's a rule that you're aware of. You tell us that you can't lose your crew, but we see you
We
guys
didn't.
turn. Yeah. So my first question is, was this an unsafe, illegal turn that they couldn't make as well? Or do you think that they just didn't see you?
So context, we were in the roundabout for a little bit because we didn't know which turn to take. And so we were just staying on the closest inside lane, which you were allowed to do in a roundabout. We looked up afterwards to make sure that it was legal, all the things, because we're replaying it in our mind.
Of course.
Around our second time in the roundabout, we see the crew turn to the left right before we take our next turn. And I look to mom and I go, why did they just leave why did they just leave the roundabout? So we pull over, are like telephoning them, being like, hey, where are they at? Where are they at? And we had been
Walkie-talkie.
to in security that morning, being like, if you feel unsafe, or something like, and know how to get to the next location, like go to your next location and just wait. So navigator here, like I got us really quickly to our next location and mom is like, we need to stop. We need to stop. And I was like, for me, I was like, I know where we're going. It's safer for us to just get there, like safety in mind. And
Yeah.
we got there and our crew never showed up. So we talked about
But
it.
wait, back up. We got there and we jumped out because another crew came up and said, okay, we got you. So we jumped out to head down because we were second and we were right behind the boys. We saw them going down. So we weren't that far behind. And they pushed us back in and said, no, you guys need to wait for your crew. And I actually, one thing I haven't mentioned yet, I heard him say it'll be about 10 minutes to begin with. So I'm like, okay. It was an hour and we never saw our crew. Here's the deal. It was a local driver. So they all had local drivers. Our cameramen were sick, Sarah. Anyway, so it was a local driver. I look up, they're turning left, and we're still in the right lane. I mean, I might have put my blinker on, but you could legally do that. You can change lanes, but we're going round and round because they told us to go round and round until we figured out where we wanted to go.
And I think the thing to name is when you see us saying like, oh, our crew has arrived. Our crew never arrived. That was a different crew. They were just like, hey, like Danny and Angie, like you've been penalized enough. And I heard
we're like, penalized? I didn't know we were penalized.
But on the radio, they're like, I heard them say Juan and Shane are coming. And I think they felt bad about the situation and didn't know what to do because the crew was genuinely probably lost somewhere in Barbados. So the irony, though, is to go, my navigation skills, and we're losing the amazing race because somebody else gets lost. It's pretty funny.
Now my background is production, so I just immediately assumed the crew knows where they're headed. They're just following you because they're following you, but that as soon as you get lost, they head to your location. So why does it take them so long? They literally just never.
Well, they did at the detour. We were already building And then halfway through our build, they did show up. But I think
Awesome.
the traffic was horrible. And depending on which way, there was a highway way and a coastal way you could go. And we had seen the traffic. I really believe the local driver just kept
Got
getting
lost.
lost.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because
the
I think they were
the traffic
constantly
was-
communicating.
Yeah, the traffic took maybe about 15 minutes, but it was 50 minutes till they let us go. And then the crew didn't show up for probably an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That's heartbreaking. I can't imagine how you guys felt during all of that. And then to stand on the mat with Phil and have it end. I mean, tell me what you can about that feeling.
I think there's definitely sadness, but then there's also this just immense gratefulness of being wow, God, you gave us this gift that I got to race around the world with my mom. I got to live a super fan's dream. I got to be in a boat that broke down. I got to race up a mountain in Colombia. I went paragliding. I got to do all these incredible things with one of my best friends. And then if I couldn't win, got to go out in a way that's iconic and people are going to talk about for a long time. And so really, really, while I was sad standing on that mat, just nothing but so much gratefulness to have been selected to get to race around the world.
Yeah.
And Sarah, the other
was,
thing.
Yeah. Tell me how this experience was for you.
Well, it just wasn't either one of our faults. So,
Mhm.
so I wouldn't go to bed that night going, oh, I disappointed my son. And he was never going to go to bed that night going, oh, I blew it for my mom. It was none of that. It was so awesome. I mean, it was just we could go out saying, this is okay. We're okay, right? Life is bigger and wonderful with the Amazing Race, but life is bigger than this 30 days as well, right? So this 30 days is going to make us richer and we're going to grow from it and we're going to get to talk about it for the rest of our life. And maybe one day there'll be grandkids that we can talk to about. But anyways, it was just so much fun. So, we love the production crew. I think this was new for them. We know it was because there were these little huddles going on everywhere we went, including the mat. They were still huddling. So we're like, oh, they just don't know what to do. So, and Phil didn't say you're eliminated right away. So there was a little bit of hope, oh, are they gonna
They're gonna turn it into a non-elimination leg, but
yeah, but that's okay. It was all okay, and we're okay, and we have no ill will at all towards anybody. So just lots of love.
Well, you made a great point. I mean, your elimination will never be forgotten. I mean, it's so fun to watch super fans. It's so fun to watch a parent-child dynamic who is loving and supportive of each other. So overall, I'm so glad we got to watch you. I'm so glad you had a great experience, and I really appreciate your time today.
cool. Thanks so
Thanks,
much,
Sarah.
Sarah.